I don't begrudge any business looking for smart ways to get their products into the hands of interested people, like you. But there are times when things kind of cross a line into, shall we say, questionable territory. So, fair warning. Today's podcast is probably going to feel a little ranty because we need to talk about waves, their marketing strategies, and what you should know before you start dropping real money on plugin deals, which just seem too good to be true. Plus, we're going to take a listen to an indie alt-rock cue written by a member of the 52 Qs community on this week's episode of the 52 Qs podcast. What is happening, everybody? This is Dave Croft, and welcome back to another episode of the 52 Qs podcast, a weekly podcast dedicated to all things production and library music, where we talk about industry topics and take deep dives into the different aspects of being a working production music composer. Plus, we feature a cue written by you, a member of the 52 Qs community, and this week, we're going to be taking a listen to the Finish Line, which is an indie alt-rock cue written by Darin Peckham, so you definitely want to stick around for that. And if this is your first time here, welcome. I'm so glad you found me, however you found me. I know you have a lot of options out there in YouTube and podcast, so I thank you for spending part of your day here with me. I also want to give a special word of thanks to the family, friends, and patrons of 52 Qs who help keep the podcast, the channel, and everything we do here humming along perfectly. We are 100% community supported, so you won't hear any ads for mattresses, VPNs, or meal plans. But if you want to learn more about how you can help support 52 Qs and unlock perks like live streams, workshops, Zoom feedback sessions, and a ton more, then be sure to click on the links in the description or, stick around, because we're going to be talking much more about that a little later in today's episode. So today's topic is all about waves, plugins, waves.com. You can get them. And if you've probably seen an ad for Waves, probably before this video, I'm sure that you can't throw a rock near any production site and hear about Waves plugins, because the deals themselves are really good. Now, if you're not familiar, Waves is a company that makes plugins for all DAWs, that for mixing, for mastering, lots of really cool little tools, whether it's compressors or EQs or automated faders or reverb units or de-essers, just the whole gamut. You could essentially replace every plugin in your DAW with Waves, and even they even have some sound plugins and yeah. So I'll start out by saying I'm actually kind of a big fan of Waves. I like Waves plugins. I've heard about Waves for a long time. They are kind of the Pro Tools of plugins, right? They've been around for forever, and I'll be hard pressed to find any professional and not see some kind of Waves plugins on their computer. At least that's my take on it. That's my experience. I knew that when I was looking to upgrade from my stock EQs, my stock compressors, de-essers, transient shapers, all of those things. When I was looking to upgrade from the stock, I went straight to Waves because they're really good plugins. They're great plugins, and their deals are amazing. They're always running deals. In fact, they're running deals right now. Right now on their website is a deal, 50% off everything. Just use the code, get 50% off, and they're always giving away plugins. It seems like giving by like one get two free. They're like the plugin version of the. I don't know where you live, if you have this, but here in Florida, around 4th of July and New Year, there are these pop-up tents which show up like in front of gas stations or sometimes like abandoned buildings. There will be, or in a parking lot, a tent selling fireworks around New Year's and again around 4th of July. And it always is like, buy one firecracker, get 10 for free. And that's what Waves reminds me of. They're always running these killer deals. And they're always like $29, $24.99 or whatever. 22 plugins for every mix. Here I'm reading right off of their site right here. $35, regularly $149. Here's a plugin that's $29, regularly $99. Here's a plugin that is regularly, here's a set. Here's a perfect example. Here is a set of plugins regularly $4,000, but you can save 91% by using the coupon and get in for $350 to get this whole suite of plugins. And so deals like this, they run all the time, and they're killer deals. But are they a little too good to be true? And I'm here to say, kind of, as long as you know what you're getting into, as long as you know the bargain that you are making when you go all in on Waves. It reminds me of, and maybe this will date me, but if you are of a certain age, you probably remember Columbia House. Give me a shout out if you remember Columbia House CDs or cassette deals. And if you're too young to know, here's how it worked. Columbia House and BMG Music, what they did was they would sell you 10 CDs for a penny. And sometimes the mailers would actually have pennies taped into the mailer. Like you would get, junk mail, or you would get junk mail, and there would be an envelope, and in the envelope would be a penny. And they would say, get 10 CDs for a penny. And you'd fill out the little form. And this was pre-internet, right? So you'd have to write the little code because they gave you a giant catalog of all the CDs they make, or the CDs that they had access to. And so you would write the little code numbers, and you would sign up for it. I guess you'd send them a penny or whatever. And then, 3 to 6 weeks later, you'd get a box with 10 CDs that were only a penny. And you're like, oh, this is fantastic. This is amazing. But there were a couple of catches. You were on the hook to buy X number of CDs within a year at full price. And usually the CDs, they weren't ever on sale again. Usually they were $20 or whatever. And then you'd be on the hook to buy 10 or 20 or however many CDs. And I don't know about you, but I don't think I ever actually fulfilled my obligations to Columbia House. I got my free CDs and ran. I mean, we'd buy a couple, but you're in college, you're kind of a dumb kid, and you're just like, oh, free CDs, whatever, yeah. But you were on the hook for those. And I think I might have been sent to collections at one point for not fulfilling my Columbia House obligation. And what I would do, this is terrible. This is really terrible. I'd use fake names, to get more CDs. And I can't imagine why they're not in business, because chumps like me were taking advantage of the system. So maybe there's a whole other podcast episode in there. But come to find out, they actually weren't selling you the CDs that you could buy off the shelf. They would get, my understanding is, they would get the masters from the record companies, and then they would print and press their own CDs. They would print and press the own actual CDs themselves, the artwork. They would reprint all the artwork. They would package the jewel cases and all of that. And then a lot of times there's like a notch in them, in the CD, in the jewel box, jewel case. But you weren't getting, I mean, the audio quality was the same, but you weren't getting the CD you could buy. So the reason that they could sell you 10 CDs for a penny was because they were making them in-house at a fraction of what it would cost, to buy them or to get them wholesale from a record company and then send them to you. So they were printing them all in-house. They'd get you on the hook, and they would make their money, in theory, they would make their money from you either buying 10 more CDs or you being sent to collections, and they're getting their money one way or the other. But they would get you in the door. And my whole point here is they would get you in the door with the deal. They would entice you into the deal, but there was this back-end obligation, which if you knew what was happening, then cool, you were fine. But if you didn't know that that's like the fine print, then you could get stuck. It could start dinging your credit. And Waves feels like that for me. They get you in the door with these 91% discounts. And you're like, this is amazing because, again, they are good plugins and the deals are insane. But that comes with a future obligation. And what I mean by that is if you want to make sure your plugins continue to work, then you will have to pay more later down the road. And I don't mean like in a subscription service kind of way, to where the plugins will just break because you didn't pay your monthly fee and therefore they're just going to stop working. Usually it's with like if a version of Logic or your DAW upgrades or an operating system upgrade or something like that. And I get it. Things have to change, development cost money. I get all of that. But I didn't really understand Waves Waves update policy when I got all in. I got all in on version 9 of Waves version 9. Right now they're on Waves 14, but I got in on version 9. And I didn't really understand this. I just started like vacuuming up all of these killer deals. Actually, no, it wasn't version 9. It was like version 7 or 8. That's when I kind of bought them all a la carte. And something happened, operating system or Logic updated, and suddenly I went to go install the plugins and the plugins just didn't work. That might have been when I went from my laptop to my iMac. I think it was, which would have been about 8 years ago. And the plugins just didn't work. I had them over here. They were working on my laptop. I went to go install them on my new iMac and I don't think I could even install them. They were just broken. Sorry, this plugin no longer works. And that's when I started going, oh, there's a cost. There's a cost for these super cheap plugins. 91% discount comes at a future cost. And so I went in and bought their version 9 plugins, I guess it was. And I updated they got me in the door by saying, hey, you can either update all of these plugins one at a time, or you can upgrade to like the gold package, which comes with all of these plugins. Look at them. And this is 91% off or something like that. I don't remember the specifics of the deal. It's been many years. And so I went, okay, so it's cheaper for me to just update my whole package from a la carte to gold. And then I get a whole slew of other plugins. I'm like, oh, wow, that's look at all these plugins that I'll never use. But I was enticed by future me could possibly use this random compressor or whatever, which I'm sure is fantastic. And so I did. I upgraded to like the gold package or whatever, and all was well. I had my version 9 plugins. Things were going swimmingly until fast forward a couple of years and the plugins break again. Now you need version 11 in order. And you could either upgrade them all one at a time, or you probably see where this is going, or you can upgrade to the gold, diamond, platinum, insert whatever precious resource we want to call it, whether it's a gem or a metal. Upgrade to diamond, platinum, plus ruby, gold pressed, latinum, and you don't have to pay the update fee. So I did. I updated to the next highest level, and it's getting kind of increasingly more expensive. But suddenly my a la carte $29 investment is now expanding into arguably probably what I would have paid to begin with if it wasn't 91% off. So I'm like, okay, all right, I see what you're doing here, Waves. I'm on to you. And I started pulling back from Waves. What I mean is I stopped becoming dependent on them, which is a mind thing. That's a mindset. And I don't think that's what Waves is going for. I think Waves wants me to love their plugins, which some of them I absolutely do. And there are 2 plugins that I still use to this day. But all of the other plugins, whether it was like the L2 maximizer or ultimizer or whatever it's called, the L2 compressor, isn't it? In the compressor, the Renaissance bass, the all of the Chris Lord algae things, the CLAs, all of the reverbs, the de-esser, all of the plugins, I have found other solutions because of the taste in my mouth that was left by this hamster wheel of upgrading. It's like, if you're gonna do a subscription, then just freaking do a subscription. Don't do this backdoor get 100 plugins for a penny and then make me in a period of frustration begrudgingly pay you money. So fast forward to the last couple of weeks. I got a new Mac Studio sitting right over there. I haven't named her yet, but I'm sure I will. My iMac is right here. It's where is it? It's right there. I keep it close by so I can network into it, because I'm just finding, and if anybody's ever updated their machine or transferred to a new machine, this is a fresh install. I didn't do any migration assistant or anything, because I do believe in if you're upgrading, especially going from a 2014 iMac to a 2022 Mac Studio, just clean install, yes. And so just finding little plugins and, okay, I need that plugin. Oh, I haven't updated my XLN audio. Oh, I need my Zebra login and key code and serial number and all that stuff. So just having it super close by, going back and forth. So it's right there. And I knew it deep in my spirit. I knew that, freaking Waves, man. Waves is going to get me. I know it. Waves is going to get me. And they did. Not only because I was updating my operating system from Big Sur to Monterey, but also going from Intel-based to the M1 chip. And I knew I would be on the hook for something. And when it came time, I looked at all of them, because I need the M1 compatible, the Apple Silicon native, all that stuff. That makes a real big difference. Why pay for this really fancy new computer if you're using plugins, which is using middleware to make sure that they work? So I wanted the M1 versions. But based off of kind of what I just was talking about, the weird ickiness I had from feeling nickel and dimed every time I wanted to update my system or update Logic or whatever, I only updated 2 plugins. And parenthetically, they are the Vocal Writer plugin, which is fantastic, and the One Knob series of plugins, because I use One Knob Pressure. It is my absolute go-to for quick and dirty parallel compression on drums. It's so freaking easy. I set it to pad, dial it up to about 6.5, and mission accomplished. I don't have to worry about anything else. And then the Vocal Writer, because I do so much just like this, with spoken word stuff, podcast production, the Vocal Writer automates the fader essentially and makes it really easy. But now Isotopes come out with Vocal Leveler, so I'm looking at that. It's one of the RX advanced modules. But it was going to cost me like an extra $300 to update all of the plugins. Or, of course, I could have updated my entire suite of plugins to the next thing, to the Mercury. Now they're talking about like planets or something, to the Mercury edition or whatever. And I'm like, nope. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 3 times, I guess I'm just a glutton for punishment. So I didn't do it. The 2 plugins I needed, I updated. I didn't update anything else. In fact, I didn't install anything else because I had weaned myself from their plugins. Slowly, one by one, replacing, all right, de-esser is going to get this, the Ultimizer or Maximizer, whatever, is going to get this plugin, but the Vocal Writer and the One Knob series, I'll update those. But even like the Abbey Road vinyl effect or the tape delay or whatever, like lots of really very cool plugins, but I'm not going to fall in love with something that's going to just break my heart down the road. And not to mention kind of the pain that I felt in updating, especially from version 9 to version 11. Wow, it was like, this is over here and it's broken, but this is this update path. And so multiple update paths, upgrading from old versions was a real pain in the butt. It was really, really a headache. And so once again, Waves. If anybody's, I don't think anybody's watching from Waves, but I didn't think anybody was watching from Avid. The last time I went all ranty on a company and I had a Zoom call with somebody from Avid. I can't remember if I've talked about that. Let me know in the comment. I can't remember because I'd be happy to talk about that conversation that I had with Avid. I had one of their customer relations folks reach out to me. And it was a good conversation. Anyway, that's not what this is about. But Waves. I don't know what the solution is here because we're so far down this rabbit hole that, like, how do you pull back from this? Because I love the fact that the deals are really, really good. But this update plan where you have like 1 year of updates. So I have 1 year from when I bought my last plugin, 1 year, and I'll get free updates. But it's not like updates come out frequently enough to where you'll get in on the year. I don't know. Part of me wishes it was just an upfront subscription fee. And I know, I hear you. I hear the screaming through the internet. But at least I would know, because what we have here is an AirSats subscription service brought about by pain points. brought about by frustration and breaking things. Sorry, your plugin is just broke. So I guess your only choice is to update it. That's like, I feel like I'm getting shaken down by the mob. All right, maybe that's a little extreme. But we've all been there, updating our system, updating plugins. Something's not going right, and you're just pulling your beard out, I guess, for me. It's just mega frustrating. And I don't think Waves wants that as a business practice. I don't think that's a good business practice. And in the long run, I don't know how sustainable it is. Or there will always be folks willing to send their penny along so that you can get their 10 free CDs, and future them is going to be on the hook. And if that's you, that's cool. If you're down with Waves, that's cool. I'm only bringing this up because I want you to know. I want you to know what you're in for. I want you to know that it is essentially a subscription service that isn't a subscription service. And if you're okay with that, if you're okay with deferring payment until down the line and waiting for something to break and then you upgrade it, then that's fine. But just know that's what you're getting into. I didn't know. Maybe I was naive, or maybe I was just so excited about getting these really amazing plugins, the big boy professional plugins. I'm like, okay, it's ready. Step up to the plate. And I didn't realize that. And so I hit that brick wall 3 times now. And I just won't give them any more of my money, honestly, unless they come out with a subscription service. I would rather do that. I would rather pay them $100 a year, $200 a year to get everything possible that they make. Yes, I'm on board for that. Maybe they do, and I just haven't found it yet. I'd be absolutely on board for that. And then if a update comes out, I don't have to worry about it. If it breaks, I just click OK. Now, I know for a fact that there are folks out there who would never do that, and that's fine. But the way it's being run right now, it has completely pushed me away from Waves to the point where I'm making a podcast episode about it, talking to the internet, to internet strangers and internet friends. Hello, internet friends and family and patrons. But I'm just not. I have my 2 that I'm going to use, and I have replaced every other Waves plugin that was part of my routine with other plugins. But what about you? What do you think? How do you feel about Waves business practices? Have you been caught by the dragnet of Waves updating hamster wheel? Or like I said, maybe you're fine with sending your penny off and getting your 10 free CDs. Please let me know. I absolutely want to hear from you in the comments. I do read them all, and I make every effort to respond to them. But please let me know. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. We're going to hear from Mrs. 52Qs talking about 52Qs, but when we come back, we're going to be listening to an indie alt-rock cue written by Darin Peckham, but we'll be listening to that right on the other side of this break.
Hey y'all, I'm Shannon Croft, and I want to tell you that the 52Qs podcast is made possible by viewers and listeners just like you, composers and producers who are looking for a better way to connect and collaborate. You see, 52Qs isn't just another website selling static, pre-recorded videos to a mass audience. It's a fun, vibrant, and positive community that comes together online for sharing cues, getting feedback, and discussing what's up in the production music industry. You'll find both personalized feedback and live interaction, which are the best and fastest ways to grow your skills and earn more placements. The best part is that the 52Qs community is absolutely free. And when you're ready to take your career to the next level, we offer friends and family subscriptions, which unlock weekly live streams, live interactive group feedback sessions, monthly interactive workshops, and more. Head over to 52cues.com and sign up today. And while you're there, check out our personalized feedback videos, private lessons, and of course, merch. I can't wait to see you at 52cues.com.
That was To the Finish Line by Darin Peckham. Thank you so much, Darin, for sending this along. This was submitted for our week 32 feedback thread. Darin, honestly, not a lot to add to this. I think this is absolutely on point. It's got that whole indie alt-rock vibe to it, the boots and claps kind of a feel to it. Really, the only thing it was missing was some woes or some haze or something like that. But I think this was absolutely firing on all cylinders, no pun intended. I could hear this absolutely underneath some sort of sports broadcasting or even like things like cell phone commercials, that kind of thing. I could absolutely hear that for this. The only thing I will note is at the beginning, and I'm not sure if this is going to come across on the podcast or on YouTube, there's a really low rumble at the top. It's way down there. It feels like it might be a floor tom or something. It's way down in the mix, but it's there. And also, I'm not sure if it's my system or my headphones. I actually started troubleshooting it right before I was recording. It feels a little right heavy, just feels a little right heavy, and I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's the guitars or my ears. But I think this is all absolutely working. Coming out of this section, let's put a crash on the downbeat right here. Yeah, put a crash, kick in a crash, really land that downbeat. Fantastic hook. Absolutely fantastic hook. Probably need another gear of energy. This happened at the beginning too. Like we had kind of, that's an X. We had 2 times through this hook. That second time through, can we add a little bit of extra energy to really kind of push it? And it might be as simple as an octave above, like adding an octave or adding another high kind of something. I don't know. I'm not really a guitarist, but let me back this up. Sorry, it went into the B section there. Let's see if I can kind of hear something. Something like, maybe some of those horn stabs, that we had at the beginning. Didn't we have some horn stabs? Yeah. Yeah, I think we could go to bop, bop, bop. I think we could bring those horns in because I don't really hear much in the way of the horn line out of that intro. Maybe it's there. Yeah, yep. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, bop, bop. Bop, 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 bop. Yep, that's how I would solve that. Bring the horn line back. I mean, you paid them to be at the gig, so might as well use them. Coming here to the end. Yeah. Nice. Come up to the button. Yep, absolutely. This is all working brilliantly. Really, really well done. I do appreciate you sending this along. As I said, this cue was submitted during our weekly feedback thread, specifically for our week 32 feedback thread. And Darin said this was for a taxi listing, and I would love to hear how that goes. I've said this before. If taxi doesn't accept this, then I think things are broken. But I've said it before, and that's bitten me in the butt. But I think this is absolutely fantastic job. And so, like I said, it was submitted during our weekly feedback thread over at 52 Cues. And if this is something that you enjoy, or if this is something that you want to get some feedback on your own cues, then head over to 52cues.com and join us. We put those feedback threads together. We put them out every single week. We're running currently our week 33 feedback thread, and why don't you join us? And if you found this feedback helpful, and maybe you'd like personalized or in-depth feedback, video critique of your own cue, where I break down things like form, structure, harmony, mix, and a ton more, then why don't you head over to 52cues.com/coaching. And while you're over there, you can check out, some of my other coaching services like one-on-one Zoom sessions where we can really work together towards crafting your own career goals in production music. So once again, thank you so much for joining us. And I also want to give a huge shout out to the family, friends, and patrons of 52 Cues who help keep all of the lights on here and keep everything going. But that's going to do it for us this week. But be sure to tune in next week, where I'm going to be talking about the 5 steps you should be taking to start a career in production music. 5 steps to starting a career in production music. Maybe you're a composer right now. Maybe you're just out of college, or maybe you've been a music director, or you've been a gigging performer, and you've heard a lot about this production music thing, and you really want to kind of dip your toe into those waters where, I'm going to talk to you next week about the 5 steps that you should be taking to starting your production music career. So again, thank you so much for joining us. That's going to do it for this week. And as always, I hope you have an amazing week, and I am confident that the universe has amazing plans for you. But until next time, peace. The 52 Cues podcast is copyright 2022 Dave Croft, all rights reserved. The music played on the podcast is copyright of their respective owners and is used for educational purposes only. For more information, including joining the 52 Cues community and submitting your cue for consideration on the podcast, head over to 52cues.com.